Chapter 2. The Visit.
James 3 verse 16, NLT. For wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and evil of every kind. Cooley sat hunched over his laptop in the co-working space they often used in WIS 2. The coffee beside him had long gone cold, but he hadn't moved. He was staring at the dashboard mock-up for ShieldView, cursor blinking at the top right corner where the NetSecure Africa login button would go. Something wasn't clicking. It wasn't the code. It wasn't the interface. It was a feeling. A low, persistent drag in his chest ever since he saw the way Dara's mood shifted the night before. One message. One name. It had flipped a switch in her. Lodja. Cooley had never met him in person. But he'd heard enough. The son from a side story the family rarely told, now a storm on the horizon. Cooley didn't envy the Fagbemi legacy. It came with landmines. He respected Dara's discipline, her grace, her ability to lead. But he could also feel it now, the invisible pressure tethered to her name. It wasn't just about helping him anymore. If ShieldView succeeded, it meant more than innovation. It meant independence for Dara. It meant stepping out of her father's empire and probably stepping on someone's ego in the process. He saved his progress, closed his laptop, and leaned back. For the first time since they began building this dream together, he wasn't just worried about investors. He was worried about what Dara might lose to win. Dara's office in Abuja wasn't flashy, but it carried quiet power. Glass partitions, earth-tone walls, and a well-placed bookshelf that made even her silence feel like a statement. She was reviewing a compliance report when her assistant knocked and stepped in nervously. "Ma, you have a visitor." Dara looked up. "Scheduled." "No, Ma," he insisted. "He's already waiting in the reception." Her heart sank before the name was even spoken. "Who?" she asked, though she already knew. The assistant hesitated. "Mr. Lodja Fagbemi." Lodja strolled into her office like he owned the lease. He wore a sharp navy shirt, sunglasses still on, even though he was indoors. Dara didn't stand. "Dara," he said with that familiar smirk. "Looking proper." "Lodja," she said flatly. "To what do I owe this uninvited drop-in?" He slid into the guest chair and removed his glasses slowly. "I figured since you've been too busy launching your own empire, I'd come see it for myself." Dara's brow arched. "I didn't realize you were tracking my movements now." "You know how it is. Abuja's small. Gossips travel faster than Wi-Fi. You pitch something at NetSecure, and suddenly everyone assumes Fagbemi Group is venturing into tech." She gave a small, sharp laugh. "Let me guess. You assume Daddy's funding it." He leaned forward, ignoring the jab. "Tell me, Dara, is this your exit plan from the family business?" He leaned forward, ignoring the jab. "Data security, huh? That what you're into now?" She said nothing, just kept her gaze steady. "Come on, Dara. You went all the way to NetSecure to pitch something with some mystery guy and nobody in the family knew?" He gave a short, dry laugh. "You're really getting good at this whole secrecy thing." Dara's voice was calm, almost detached. "It wasn't a family project." "Yeah, but your family. And I'm not blind, I know when something's big." He watched her face, trying to read something, anything. "So, what exactly did you pitch?" She smiled, the kind that shut doors. "If you were meant to know, you'd have been in the room." Lodja laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You've always played the good girl," he said. "The one who follows the rules, keeps the books, earns the trust. But what if the board starts thinking you're distracted? What if they realize you're building a whole new kingdom while the one Dad gave you is still on shaky ground?" "You mean the branch I've tripled revenue for in 2 years?" she shot back. "I mean the branch our father keeps giving you while denying me anything." Dara rose from her chair slowly. "You don't want responsibility, Lodja. You want rewards. There's a difference." He stood too, smile fading. "Keep walking like you're untouchable. But this dream you're chasing? You might have the spotlight now, but spotlights burn out. Let's see how long you last." Dara folded her arms. You're not as scary as you think. You never were. Lodja paused at the door. Maybe not. But I'm not the weak one anymore either. With that, he left, leaving behind the heavy scent of cologne and the kind of silence that crackled. 15 minutes later, Dara sat again, shoulders squared, face unreadable, but her fingers trembled ever so slightly as she returned to her screen. The document open was titled,
ShieldView, Ethics Addendum Draft 2.
Her eyes landed on the clause she had written herself. Data security is meaningless without structural integrity. Ethical design begins with intent. Power is not just what you hold, it's what you refuse to misuse. She steadied her breath. Let them come. The hum of the city had softened into dusk by the time Dara walked into Cooley's apartment. She didn't speak at first. She just dropped her bag, kicked off her heels, and stood at the edge of the room like she wasn't sure if she was arriving or escaping. Cooley looked up from his laptop. You okay? She nodded. I saw him. Cooley closed the screen. Lodja. She sank into the couch. He came to the office. Said some things. Left a few grenades behind. Do I want to know? Dara smiled faintly, eyes distant. He thinks I'm being funded by my father. Thinks I'm distracted from the family business. Thinks he'd do better. Cooley sat beside her. So, same old Lodja. Just in designer shades now. She chuckled despite herself, then went quiet. He's not going to stop, Cooley. He's already stirring stories. You should see how the staff tensed up when he walked in. Like trouble came wearing a familiar face. He studied her carefully. You're carrying too much again. I'm always carrying too much. She rubbed her temples. ShieldView was supposed to be simple. Just us. A clean break. And it still can be. No, she said softly. Not anymore. They sat in silence for a moment, the space between them warm but fragile. Then Cooley reached over and took her hand. I didn't build ShieldView to become a billionaire. I built it because I was tired of being helpless. Tired of seeing systems built to watch us and not protect us. But I can walk away if it ever becomes the thing we were trying to fix. She looked at him. Don't say that. I'm saying I'd rather lose the dream than lose you in the process. Her throat tightened. You're not going to lose me. But you might have to share me with the weight of a family name I never asked for. He nodded, then leaned in, resting his forehead against hers. We'll carry it. Together. 3 days later, across town, Lodja sat in a friend's luxury office suite with floor-to-ceiling windows and a freshly uncorked bottle of whiskey. Across from him was Kunal Bakare, the founder of PayConnect, a payment processing app that had made a big splash in Lagos just 3 months prior. Kunal was young, well-dressed, and riding on tech buzz and old family money. You're sure we're covered legally? Kunal asked, scrolling through the campaign draft on his tablet. Of course, Lodja said smoothly. It's not theft if they're submitting voluntarily. We're offering visibility, mentorship, and a maybe funding window. Kunal grinned. And what are you calling it again? Tech Express, Nigeria's next big app, Lodja replied, raising his glass. We'll create a pitch contest, collect submissions, make them sign over access for review purposes, then pick the ones we want to replicate. You're a bastard, Kunal said, laughing. Only to people who forget that business is war. Elsewhere, Dara's phone rang just as she was settling under her duvet. She saw the name and sat up immediately. Dad. She answered. Daddy? I hope I didn't wake you. His voice was gravelly but kind. No. I just got home. There was a long pause before he spoke again. Dara, I've been thinking a lot lately. About what happens after I'm gone. Her chest tightened. Don't say that. I have to, he said gently. This body, it's slowing down. There are days it doesn't feel like mine anymore. I'm not afraid of death, Dara. I'm afraid of leaving chaos behind. You won't. We're okay. No, you're okay. Laja isn't. And that's the problem. He sighed. That boy has always been chasing a throne he was never prepared to rule. And he won't understand that until it's too late. She stayed quiet. I've redrafted my will. You'll take over the company. Officially. It's already signed. Laja will get what he needs to start whatever he wants. Property, cash, enough to stay afloat. But not power. Not structure. Her throat tightened. Why no? Because I can feel it. My time's drawing in. And you'll need more than brains and boldness to survive this fight. I'm not alone, she said quickly. I have people. I know. But you also need a partner, one that understands this world. One who won't get overwhelmed by your legacy. That's why I wanted to talk to you about Kunal Bakir. Dara froze. You've met him, her father continued. His father and I have worked together for decades. Kunal just launched PayConnect. Came back from the UK full of drive. I think he could help steady you. Support your goals. And if something blossoms. Daddy, Dara said gently, are you matchmaking me with a payment app? He laughed quietly. Then said, I just want someone who won't treat your ambition like a threat. She didn't respond. She couldn't. You don't have to decide now, he added. But promise me you'll think about it. She whispered, I promise. But deep down, she already felt the storm brewing between her bloodline and her choices. Between a name she inherited and the future she was fighting for. Some battles begin the moment you dare to build something pure in a world that profits from taking.